There is a weapon more devastating than any sword, a silent force of conquest that history almost missed, and its evidence is hiding inside millions of people alive today. We think we know the story of the great conquerors. We picture battlefields and fallen castles, but the most effective tool of empire wasn't used on the battlefield at all. It was a system so brutally efficient, it didn't just defeat armies, it made entire civilizations vanish from the earth. And I'm about to show you the 5-step machine that did it. This isn't just a story of war, it's the story of engineered oblivion. Let's start with a chilling question. How could a nomadic population, barely over 1 million people, subdue kingdoms containing tens of millions? The answer isn't found in a better bow or a faster horse. The answer is that they weaponized psychology itself. They realized that a reputation for calculated horror could conquer cities before their armies even arrived. They didn't just use terror, they industrialized it. In 1219, before invading the Khwarezmian Empire, Genghis Khan's envoys delivered a stark policy: submit and live. Resist, and you and your entire lineage will be erased. This was not a hot-blooded threat. It was a cold, premeditated broadcast. They understood that fear travels faster than any cavalry. The math was monstrously simple. Slaughter one city with methodical brutality, and a dozen others would open their gates without a fight. It was an investment of violence with a staggering return. And the primary target of this system, the very key to its success, was not the soldiers, but the women. This leads us to the first act of the machine: biological replacement. When a city fell, the killing was often just the beginning. The most valued women, the noble-born, the educated, the daughters of leaders, were systematically claimed by Mongol commanders. This wasn't merely about spoils of war. This was a long-term strategy of genetic conquest. By forcing these women to bear their children, they were not just dominating the present, they were actively rewriting the future. Those children would be raised as Mongols. They would speak the Mongolian language, worship Mongol gods, and know nothing of their mother's culture. In a single generation, a lineage could be severed forever. This is annihilation without rubble. They conquered the cradle to command the future. And the genetic evidence is undeniable. Scientific studies have identified a specific Y chromosome lineage that exploded out of Mongolia roughly 1,000 years ago. The stunning estimate? About 16 million men alive today are direct descendants of this single paternal line. That is the ghost in the machine, a living fossil of this systematic campaign. But breaking a people's future required breaking their present spirit, which leads to the second act. Act 2. Ritual humiliation. The Mongols identified a universal pressure point, a culture's honor deeply tied to the safety of its women. They applied force to this point with surgical, public cruelty. Consider the fall of Baghdad in 1258. This was the brilliant heart of the Islamic world, a beacon of knowledge and power. After the massacre, the true psychological warfare began. The women of the caliph's own household, figures of immense status who lived in seclusion, were violently dragged into the streets. Their veils were ripped away, their dignity stripped, and they were paraded before the survivors. The message was unmistakable. Your God did not save them. Your leaders cannot protect their own. Your civilization is already a corpse. These women were then sold in slave markets for a pittance, a price set not by value, but by contempt. Now let's talk about the third act, a siege tactic so ghastly it seems unimaginable: the human shield. Persian sources describe a practice called karash, or human cattle. The Mongols would use captives from a previously conquered city as living armor. They would drive these terrified people, mothers, elders, children, right up against the enemy walls. The defenders faced a soul-crushing choice: slaughter their own people to reach the Mongols, or hold their fire and watch the enemy advance unscathed. Either way, their will to fight was shattered. And those who fell were not wasted. Their bodies were used to fill moats, creating gruesome ramps for the siege towers. A human being was reduced to mere construction material. This seamlessly fed into the fourth act, the continental machine of slavery. The Mongol Empire was, in part, a vast economic network powered by human cargo. Survivors of a conquest, particularly women, were sorted and marched thousands of miles to slave markets that stretched from the Pacific to Europe. The population of the Khwarezmian Empire was nearly halved in just a few years. Where did those millions go? They were scattered across a continent in history's most efficient forced migration. A woman from Persia could end her life in China, her children and grandchildren utterly disconnected from the world she knew. This scattering ensured that cultures lost their cohesion, their critical mass, and simply dissolved. But to complete the process, you had to kill the memory itself. This is the fifth and final act, the erasure of memory. When the Mongols sacked a city, they didn't just burn buildings, they targeted the living libraries. Poets, historians, scholars, and priests, the custodians of culture, were hunted down and eliminated. In Baghdad, they destroyed the legendary House of Wisdom, throwing so many books into the Tigris River that chroniclers claimed the river ran black with ink before it ran red with blood. Why? You don't just burn books, you kill the voices that can rewrite them. Think about the totality of this five-act machine. It targeted women for forced reproduction to dominate the gene pool. It used public humiliation to shatter social identity. It used human beings as disposable tools of war. It scattered survivors to the winds to destroy ethnic unity. And finally, it murdered the keepers of knowledge to ensure no one was left to remember. This is how you make a civilization disappear without a trace. I'll list some names: Merv, Nishapur, Urgench. They were among the largest, most cultured cities on the planet in the 13th century. Do you recognize them? Probably not. And that is the ultimate proof of the machine's success. They were so thoroughly erased that they are now just footnotes, ruins in forgotten deserts. The women who endured this suffered a double death, the death of their bodies and the death of their stories. They were the primary target because they were the transmitters of culture, the soul of a people. When that chain is broken, everything is lost. So, the next time you hear about the Mongol Empire, remember, it wasn't just an empire of land, but an empire of silence. Their most enduring legacy isn't just in the ground, it's in the DNA of 16 million living men, a permanent echo of a system that understood a terrifying truth. To truly conquer, you must control the future, and that begins by controlling the women. If you believe these crucial, if difficult lessons from our past must be remembered, then please support this channel. Liking this video and subscribing to Shadow of History brings more of these hidden stories into the light. Thank you for watching.